Hey everyone, and welcome to Hollywood Hills show number 3 of the 2023 season. So throughout January, we've been building up to the beginning of the racing championships for the GXCCs and the farm jams because they are grouped nicely together. They're complementing each other as far as the calendar goes. We had obviously round number 1 out at Lekoa Lodge just over a week ago. And the reason we didn't put out a show last week is because we wanted to make sure we were focused in and making sure that the edit was going to run smooth. What we're going to do with the GXCCs as well as the farm jams for this year is we're going to space them out a little bit. That doesn't mean we're going to leave gaps, but we're going to cut the shows in half. In other words, last year and the year before that, we were putting together big shows, almost like an hour long for the GXCCs and the farm jams. This year, we're going to segment it. So it's going to be back to what I liked, because we used to split up as the day was raced. In other words, this show is going to be Lekoa Lodge for the juniors and the quads, and then the following week will be for the senior motorcycles. Obviously, the reason we've done that is to space things out, so we've got a little bit more meat on the bone for the Hollywood Hills episodes, but also because the calendars are a little bit tight at the beginning of the season. We went straight from the GXCCs into last weekend, or this weekend just gone, Farm Jam round number 1. So both spectacular events create around about 3 weeks of editing, so it keeps us nice and busy. So we're going to be feeding you all of those shows throughout the racing month of February. So you've got plenty of entertainment throughout the second racing month, and somewhere in between there, you've got to take your wives, girlfriends, and whoever else out, because it's going to be Valentine's racing month as well. So hopefully you guys get some nice treats from the girls as well, but mainly it's about looking after the girls and the beautiful people that look after us and allow us to go racing. Right now, without further ado, this is show number 3. It is Lekoa Lodge, GXCC, round number 1 of the 23 championship, and it's all about the quads and the juniors. Check this out. All this GXCC racing action is brought to you by VW Mastercars Hatfield. This is it, what everyone has been waiting for. The dawn of a new season. 2023 is here. 2022 was spectacular, but this season is going to offer some new changes, new challenges, new terrain, and certainly some new competition in almost every single one of the gates. Champions have come and gone. It's time for some new blood to see who was going to be on the gate at round number 1 at Lekoa Lodge, the classic race venue out on the edges of the Free State.
Yeah, we're really excited today. Start of the season, maybe 2 weeks later, we would have had more entries, but phenomenal. Just over 260 entries for today. I think the guys are ready to go racing this year.
Dion's got another story to tell though, the new format. We delve deeper.
Yeah, this season is going to be really interesting. Normally we have 8 rounds, 1 throwaway. Calendar just didn't allow for that to have 8 rounds this year. It's so full with MSA events for this year. So 6 rounds, very important, no throwaway for this year. Every round counts. So guys need to ride with knowledge of being able to finish the race for themselves. The body and the bike need to get over the line every race to score points to make sure that you're in the championship for this year.
Before we go out into the racetrack, we went down into the pits to catch up with some of the new blood on the bikes and the quads.
New season, most importantly, 6 rounds, no throwaways. Does that change your approach this season?
Probably.
Yeah?
Especially with the different points.
Okay, so in other words, no mistakes, no breakdowns.
No.
And then tell me, you guys were here last year. What are you expecting the track to be like? What do you remember from last time how it was?
I'm kind of expecting it to be flowy, a little bit of rocks and just overall a nice track.
And who's the guys you got to look out for? Who's your biggest competition?
Probably my teammates.
Who's that?
Dylan and Clayton Newman.
I like that it's pretty rocky and it's nice and technical basically. And it's also pretty flat, so that's also quite nice.
And quite a bit of competition in your class. Who are you going to look out for there?
I think I have to look out for John, Luke and Kia. Probably my biggest competitors.
And No throwaways this year, so
Yeah.
mistakes?
Or if I make a mistake, it's probably going to cost me the championship. So, no mistakes.
That's the words from some of the juniors. How did the quaddies feel?
Ja, gesien Brian is so ek voel beter, dit voel vir my vir 'n bietjie meer van 'n kompetisie gaan wees. Ja, dis meer as 'n seisoensklas vandag, is beter as laas jaar, so ons vat dit soos dit kom. Ek sien regtig uit daarvoor.
6 round, no throwaways. Does that change your approach?
Dit doen regtig ja, ons gaan met baie mooi ry, baie selektief wees hoe ons ry. Geen foute maak nie en alles net mooi huis toe bring. Al die bikes alles reg, die team is reg, die mechanics is alles gedoen, alles is sharp op die fiets, ons is reg.
Brian, last year you told me you're tired of being in the dust, so you're lining up front.
Yeah, look, I spent my day eating dust. I figured let me go to the front, start in the front, run away before, Hannes and the guys come to catch me. Maybe I get a lap, maybe I get 2 laps, but at least I'll try and have a bit of a cleaner run at the front, not get so dirty. Yeah, look, we work on it. So hopefully today, look, little Franco's also sharp off the line, so it's going to be interesting. But yeah, you've got to give it a go. If I can get out in front and have clean air, I'm going to run as fast and hard as I can. Look, we've had a lot of rain. They've had a lot of rain over the last couple of weeks, not so much, but there's been a lot of rain before then. But looking at the road on the way in, I think we're going to in for a dusty day. I hear there's 1 or 2 little river crossings, but it's fairly hard out here. So I think it's just, again, watch out for the rocks and, we'll just have to see what it is. I believe there's some new pieces, and so we'll see what happens. No, 100%. That's always the case. The Q1s go off and the Q2 guys on the big bikes come hunting. So yeah, look, we're going to play the hound in the air today. We're going to run and let them chase.
Yeah, definitely. There's no room for error anymore. I hope the bike goes well. And no flat tires, no breakdowns, nothing. There's no chance for recovery.
And tell me, quite stiff competition.
There's a few new people in the Q2 class, which makes it very lucky and interesting. Tinas is also here, so yeah. Hannes is riding again, so yeah, competition is going to be very, very lucky.
And what's the game plan today? Just keep it clean and bring it home?
No, full balls, full, all the way. No chance for keep it clean. Just go hard, go all the way and win.
Good to be back. Last year was a blast in this terrain over here. So hopefully this year everything goes well. Still on the big Honda, so I'm not going to change anything there. Just going to keep on fighting and see where the season takes me.
And good going to be a plan to get out front today, stay out of the dust?
Yes, no, that's the plan. I see there's quite a lot of lineups. I think we've got 10 Q2 and maybe 6 I think Q1. So to try and get in the front, get away from the dust is going to be key.
And any game plan? I mean, 6 rounds, no throwaways. That's got to change things a little bit for the season.
Yes, no, definitely. I think the plan's probably just going to be get in the front, stick with the big dogs, just keep on their tail, and I would try and say don't push the bike too hard, because if the bike breaks, lose points, out of the race. So yeah, hopefully just everything will work out.
Well, let's see how it's going to unfold. Brian Herbst on the Q1s for the first time in his history of racing. But Franco Pretorius showed how strong he was last year. First flag drop of 2023. Here we go. Yeah, the old magic is still there. Brian Herbst gets his first cheese. He is the first quad out into open terrain. Remember, GXCC racing, no one has any advantage. No one knows what's out there around the first corner. Brian's going to be the first to hit it, with Franco, the reigning champion, on his wheel. Good luck to the lads. Q2s, this is going to be the gnarly gate. We'd expect to see the overall win come from this gate, with Hannes Simon back on the numbers, himself and Reinhard Ras getting some really power starts there, and they would do their best to try and chase down, plow the field through the Q1s in the early stages of the event to see clear air. Dust was definitely going to be a factor. Going down the gates into the Quad Masters. Interesting situation this time around when we saw the return of Xander Branken. Branken, when he can hold a whole championship race season together, can run the numbers. He's back out there on the 450 Can-Am, still running in the 421 colours. He only got the number 2 off the gate. Would he warm himself up? We'd have to see. Quad veterans, Berger getting caught up there. He was not wanting that to start out his championship campaign. And the return of Francois Smallberger Sr. Remember, his quads unfortunately got stolen last year, and he's gone out there back into the marketplace and found himself a Honda 450. Pretty stock. Got himself up there to a 2-spot though, so he'd be developing throughout the season and throughout the event. For the ladies' gate, Karine Thiessen was so strong at the end of last year. Liesl Barnard, a powerhouse on the 4x4, but she has got her 2-wheel drive in her back pocket as well. But the story at this event was a return of a former 2-time GXCC champion, Gnarly Carly Simon. 3rd place out of the whole shot queue, but it wouldn't be long until she found her old magic. Back down onto the gate for the juniors, and the senior 85s was stacked. Remember, the reigning champion, Clarky, was out of the mix, so it was going to be up to some new blood. And the 2 Hondas out of the CIT Franchise Co. sleepover squad, Jaden Els and Murray Smith, were gone off the gate, mince-meeting the rest of the field that was clearly made up of some massive talent. There's the 2 Honda kids out front. The big gate on the season is going to be the junior 85s, where we saw a lot of growth and development out of the 65s. A short-lived hole shot there for one of the riders, taking down a few other riders along the way. Rickus van der Merwe, Liam Skierpers and Jake Pretorius on paper were the riders to watch out for, and the riders that looked like they were going to run and hide in the early stages. Back down onto the gate for the shrinking 65s, but it was the return of the hole shot machine that is John-Luc van der Westhuizen. This will be his first full season of attacking the 65 cc's. He gets the whole shot, banging bars early on with Manny Mayer on the gas, and his good buddy from Mpumalanga, GJ Kutsia Sparky, in a number 3 spot. Watch out for those kids to bang it the whole way through the season. And onto the 50 cc's, where we also saw a champion stepping out and up, meaning there was going to be new blood on the gate for the 50s. Campbell Dupree. He got good towards the end of last year. And if this whole shot is any gauge on how he is going to run the numbers this year, he is going to be tough to beat. A good showing from Travis Levy as well in the number 2 spot on the Honda. But Dupree was gone. Let's check out the track with Vian.
Now, Juniors has got a completely new route. I would say probably about 3 or 4 Ks of what they had the last time. It's going in reverse, but we've decided to take them out on this side of the farm over the Kopi to the tower. So we're keeping them on one side. A little bit of a rocky sort of terrain, but first race of the season, we want to keep the speed down and don't want them to just absolutely hang on the cable all the way. So good, exciting, tight and twisty route for them. Not a lot of straight, fast stuff, but they're going to have good fun. It's completely new for them. So their lap length is going to be 18.3 kilometers in length. It's slightly longer than what they used to, but we said we want to try and get closer to that 20 kilometer mark for them for this year. We really want to try and develop the kids, because we've noticed that jumping from juniors over to seniors, it's a big jump. So we want to start getting the younger ones used to the little bit longer lengths.
Loving the constant developments out of the GXCCs, and it's good thinking as well. Get these guys out there used to the bigger laps, and then when they step up into the 125 high schools, it ain't so gnarly. Good numbers on the 50 cc's, and we expect to see more as the calendar opens up, with a lot of riders coming across from different facets of racing. Ruben Russo was down there in a number 10 spot, with David Gordon in 9th, Bernard Blicknot in a number 8, and Sebastian Nell number 7. Trav Levy, who had a good pull out the gate, unfortunately lost some time out there on the course and dropped down to a number 6 eventually. Eben Schultz up the road inside of a number 5. Remember, it's the top 6 kids that make the count and climb the ladder into the big points. Kellen van Deventer into a number 4. Remember, 6 rounds, no throwaways. We're going to be talking about that a lot throughout this show and the rest of the season. And by the time we get to the halfway marker of the season, it's going to be very clear who's made the points and who's made the early running. Lincoln Deister walking away with a number 3 ride, showing the class of his early season form, with Caleb Van Heerden, who also had some good rides toward the end of last year, getting it done into a number 2. In fact, it looks like all the way down to 6th place, the riders were able to stay on the lead lap, completing 3 laps. It was Campbell Dupree who had it all his own way. Clear run on lap number 1, only saw the dust on lap number 2 when we came into the back markers. Campbell Dupree, for the first time in his short racing career, is the championship points leader as he clears the perfect day hole shot, and no one came past him. Up into the 65s, where we're going to have a little bit of head scratching throughout the season until everyone can find their form. It's clear there's 3 big pinners at the front, but are there any new guys that can climb the ladder and start bothering the guys that are definitely going to be chasing down the early wins? Carver Godrich got his way into a number 10, with Jacques-Louis Dreyer into a number 9. Fotheringham was up there into a number 8. Magwatsa to a number 7, with Volko Deploy out of Rubine Racing, having a tough start to his campaign with a number 6 ride. Looks like something went wrong on the Yami on the day, because we're expecting to run a little bit higher than that. Ewan Free was up there into a number 5, trying to get himself onto the back wheel of the Vans Racing Jump Up. Remember, this is the guy that got a number 2 spot in the 50cc gate last year, lost the championship by the narrowest of margins, and Declan Richards is in his first season of clicking gears on the 65s. Good run for the Vans Racing man. Another Vans Racing Husqvarna up the road, and that was the whole shot superstar that is John-Luc van der Westhuizen. A very mature approach to the first start of the season. Didn't want to make any mistakes, didn't want to destroy the bike. 3rd place, very comfortable. Thank you very much. Matty Mayer definitely wants to take down the championship this year. He was a little bit more aggressive on the laps. The top 3 riders completing 5 laps of the big 18k plus loop. Mayer in the 2 spots, but it was GJ Kutsia getting it done. Sparky running the numbers. He's also one of those kids that decided to stay on into the 65s. He could have moved up into the junior 85s. He is after the championship. He's after the number 1, and it's a good start for him. Junior 85s is going to be the toughest gate of the season for sure, simply based on the numbers of the riders out there. Boddington, Bushholz, Solani, Hamza Jr. Hamza just missing out by a couple of seconds of the magical top 6, but he does make the cut. He does make the show. Lynchway up to a number 6 ride with Jordan Ramsden, now running privateer colours out of a number 5 spot. The slightly older Deister sibling into a number 4. But it was the guys out there running the top 3s which ran the big pace. Liam Skippers, solid, rock solid as ever, climbing up the ladder and into a number 3. Ramsden and Deister were just a little bit off the bubble, but still on the lead lap, completing 5 laps of their count. Liam Skippers was running inside of the top 2 in the early running, riding out of Big H. That's Big Harry and the Hondas. Franchise Co, Sleepover, Talkcraft and CIT getting it done and putting a lot of development into the junior riders this season. Jake the Snake Pretorius, desperate for the big number 1 plate. He was so good in his youth, in his early races and his early championships on the 50s and the 65s. Now fully fit and after the 85s. Number 2 spot for the Pepsi Plastics Cower Man. And then another of the Big H, the Hondas, Drickus van der Merwe, getting the big banger done. He's a big kid, he is going to be tough to beat, and he likes to make that bike howl. In the CD85s, we'd expect to see some of the fastest lap times coming out of these guys. The Zappo gets it done into a number 10 ride with Matthias Tienpont. A low start to the season for the rider that we expect to run top 5s all the way through. Same story for Corbin Muller. Muller had an up and down second half of the season. It's clear though that talent has come thick and fast into the senior 85s. It's going to be tough to break that top 5 every time we go out. Willem Buerter was just outside of the podium places into a number 7, with Matliani taking it to a number 6. One of the best starts of the season we've seen coming out of Lissessi, Matliani. Remember that name. I'm going to be tripping over it the whole way through the season. Up the road and banging it up into the top 4. Top 5, should I say, for the famous 400. Swapping machinery once again. Franco Ferri goes back to a KTM, and also swapping machinery from a KTM to a Husqvarna. Hanyu de Kock getting picked up by the ever-growing powerhouse squad, another powerhouse squad of the Bikers Warehouse Husqvarnas. Hanyu de Kock, a good grab as well as he starts to find his feet in the big bike categories. John Bart Moritz, who was privateering his Kawasaki for the last 2 seasons, gets the big hookup from Pepsi Plastics. He's got a support factory ride now into a number 3 spot, and that definitely makes the ink dry better on the contract. Jaden Els, who's starting to get a little bit more comfortable in his second full season on the 85s, still riding out of the CIT Franchise Co. Sleepover Honda squad. 2 spot for him. Watch out for him because We saw him find that momentum in the 65cc championship just 2 seasons back. He was absolutely gone. This time though, it's going to be friendly fire. That's between Els and his teammate, Murray Smith. They were the class of the field. Smitty coming out of almost nowhere, but he's a classy rider, and he takes the first big win for the Big H. Let's check out the breakdown then. Smitty on top, Murray Smith, a fast racing name. You will not find anything better than that. Ahead of Els, Maritz, De Kock, and Fourie. Into the junior 85s, Drikkers van der Merwe puts a little bit of extra time between himself, Jake the Snake, and Skeepers, with Deister and Ramsden rounding out a very solid top 5 to start things out. In the 65s, GJ, Sparky, Kutsia gets it done ahead of Matty Meyer and John-Luc van der Westhuizen. The class of the field, all 3 of them on the lead lap and separated by just a few minutes. And on the 50cc gate, we got a new kid on top, the man who goes into round number 2 as championship points leader for the first time ever, Campbell Duprier, ahead of Caleb Van Heerden and Lincoln Deister, with Van Deventer and Skultz running the top 5. That's the juniors done. Let's check out the quads.
We always want to try and see if we can get more quads. You know, there's not really much, you know, any other series that they really can go and compete. So this is the platform for them to come and race. We've seen a couple of new names on the quad, so that's good. Their track out today, it's just over 50 k's, 50.2 kilometers in length. And from what they know from the last race, it's also in reverse, but it looks completely different. Last time it was open fields, there was no millies, and now the millies are staying yay high. So it looks like some places you're going through a maze around the millie fields, and you don't have a clue where you are. So it's really exciting. We've taken about 10 k's of the junior loop that the juniors raced last year, and we've added that in for the seniors, and we've taken them in reverse. So they're going to be out there and they're probably going to come back and say, I can't recognize any of this from last race. So you know, it's good. It's a new feel for them as well.
So let's get cracking. The big 50-kilometer loop. For the ladies, no fire this time, plenty of dust, a couple of river crossings as well. Jamie Lee Hua only finished the 1 lap this time around. Liesel Barnard on the big 4x4. Even though she was good out of the gate, she dropped down to her 4th place. That's one of the slowest starts we've seen for the woman who could walk away with the title this year. Kern Brits, great to see the Kawasaki machine out there. She's run good numbers. 3rd place, she'll be very happy to start off her season like that with rock solid consistency. Top 4 ladies only completing 2 laps in the 3-hour racing format, just showing how technical and testing the terrain truly was out there at Lekoa Lodge. Corrine Thiessen has got herself locked and loaded with a very good setup on her machine for this year. She was running almost stock last year. She's definitely stepped up her preparation on the machine, and she is not holding anything back in her title chase for 2023. Thiessen will be a player every single time we go out. 2nd place this time around, and it was hard to bet against Carly Simon, former 2-time champion in the GXCC's ladies quad category, and the only lady in the morning session to go 3 laps, putting a lap into her closest competitors. Carly Simon, Gnarly Carly, back on the numbers. Some of these sections really testing the metal of the quads and showing how you have to race, but also hold a little something back. Out of the ladies then, we climb up into some of the age group categories. Quad veterans showing some new blood this time around. The C700 of Robert Thompson would have felt like he was riding the roof of Africa combined with the MP, combined with Erzberg when we got to some of the gnarly rock sections. But Vian is clever. He says if you ride over it slowly, you will not belly out. You can get through. Or you can just pin it and win it. Thompson, gentle as you like. Bonnie Barnard, attacking the whole way through into a number 5 spot. Rudy Brits, who came out of the gate and grabbed an early hole shot, but was passed early on lap number 1, dropped down, not outside of the podium placings. Podium's all the way down to 6th place, remember, but outside of the coveted top 3, down to a magical number 4. Francois Smallberger Sr. on the stockest Honda TRX 450 you have seen out there, but that thing will get a little bit wider and a little bit more developed as the season goes on. he'll be pretty chuffed with the third place coming out of the box. Another one of the riders, though, to only complete one lap of the testing terrain. Francois Berger, even though he got bogged down off the gate, got jammed up, was able to re-muscle himself the whole way through into a number 2 spot. Remember, he is our champion from 2021, the inaugural champion of the veterans class. He lost that title last year to Brian Herbst. He's going to try and get it back this year by persistence, consistency, and giving it horns. Swace Blicknort, the famous review mirror that is on the 4x4 Renegade 1000cc 4x4 machine. The only rider on the day to put 2 laps into his competitors, 3 laps counted. And the first big win of the season and the first win of his racing career at the GXCCs. It's a big Swace Blicknort and the 4x4 Can-Am. Quad Masters, modest numbers to start things out, but cool to see that we've got a little bit of new blood coming in as well. Eugene Bierman, who by my count used to be a 2-wheel rider, now going across into the quads and walking away with a number 4 spot after completing 1 lap of the event. Darren Moyle as well, some new blood coming into this, stepping out of a little bit of WOW racing action. I think we did see him racing in the WOWs a couple of seasons back. Moyle walking away with a 3rd place finish, just behind a former champion of this category, Philip Boyce. Boyce getting the big hole shot in the morning, but dropping down 1 position and 1 lap eventually to finish in a number 2 spot. But we know from the past that Philip Boyce is a good championship contender and should be able to master the way through and the way forward. But this season is going to not allow any mistakes. That is going to really be the key to getting it done on the GXCCs in 2023. Xander Branken, if he can hold it together and the bike can hold itself together, the Can-Am 450 should be able to walk away with more wins than this. But for now, it is a win in the bag for Branken. Back on the money, back on the box. Q2s saw the biggest gate of the morning session with the quaddies getting it done out there. Sean Kutzer getting a number 7 ride with Davy Van Staden up to a number 6 finish. Also showing how tough the terrain was, the majority of the riders on the Q2s only completing a 3-lap racing number. After he got stuck down there, JJ Breitenbach was up there into a number 5 ride. Behind him was Davy Van Staden though. Davy, very good off the gate. Looks like he had some mechanicals out there on the course though, which is a surprise because those big Can-Ams normally do hang tough and hold it together, especially in the more rocky terrain that we had out here at the first round of the season. So it was Breitenbach who got a good pull off the gate and didn't drop too far out of the championship as well. 3 laps completed and the highest finisher outside of the runners that went all the way through the racing format from the top 4. Vernon Pretorius was a 4th place rider, with Rian Dick getting it done into a 3rd place. So we caught up with Rian before the race and he said he wasn't going to hold anything back. He was going to give it horns as best as he could. But even in the rocks, he had to tread a little bit cautiously. 3rd place though keeps him in the championship hunt in the early stages of the season. Tinas Kutzer, who came into the season as a definite standout for championship glory, he is on points and looking for the numbers in the Q2s. 2nd place, and not too far off the win as well. The big Honda man holding the big Honda together, but there was no fighting against the master of quad racing, arguably the best quad racer in South Africa at the present time. The man who has completed and competed in Dakar, as well as multiple national championships, and is also the king of Ironman at the GXCCs, racing in the quads and the motorcycles. King Hannes Simon was back on top, taking the win in category and the overall in the quads for the day. For the Q1s, the guys that went out the gate in the early morning session, the first guys to see this amazing 50-kilometer track out in Lekoa Lodge. Ron Miller out there on the Suzuki getting it done with the number 6 finish, but unfortunately 3 laps was the best he could do and it was as far as the machine would go after crying no more. Tian Wolfart, who came in as a little bit of a taster in the last couple of seasons, dipped his toe into the water of GXCC racing as a WOW class rider, has now made the bold move up with his KTM to get it done into the Q1s, and he'll be rewarded for that as well. 5th place, 3 laps counted against some very strong competition. Marcel Cilliers riding out of Old School Customs, showed his form in last season's running as well, racing in a lot of the WOW classes, taking a ton of victories, and then eventually moving up into the pro gates. Cilliers into a number 4, points on the plate. Stefan Smit has also shown what he can do out there, in and out of the championship for the last couple of seasons. And now, 3rd place, and not too far off the top 2. Remember all these names. There's going to be a little bit of chopping and changing when we go to the next couple of rounds. Remember, this will go down as a technical start to the season. There will be 1 or 2 tracks that suit different riders in different areas. Franco Pretorius, rock solid, and the championship title holder in defense of his title, but it was a 2nd place this time around. So it's clear that experience does trump youth as Brian Herbst takes his first ever win after lining up in the Q1s, a multiple Masters and Veterans title holder, and now going up against the lighties, as he likes to say, Brian Herbst. Whole shot, the perfect day, yeah, a couple of crashes, but 4 laps counted, and he was first man to see the checkers. Top 3 in the overall as well will keep him very happy, but he'll be stoked to take his first win in the Q1s. We chatted to a couple of riders after the flag dropped.
Yeah, look, it was a good day in the Q1s. I suppose you can't hope for a better start to the season. Managed to grab the whole shot off the line. Little Franco gave me a run for my money, but yeah, a couple of Ks in, I overshot a corner, he went past, and then we just try to keep it tidy. Lots of places out there you can lose the race. It's a bit rocky, but whatever. But managed to keep it together and took the win at the end of the day. So got to be happy with it.
And definitely the right decision to line up with the Q1.
Yeah, 100%. Look, obviously I always knew Hannes and some of the guys are coming through, and they did. Hannes and Tinus came through, but so 1 bike's dust is not as bad as 10 bikes dust or 20 bikes dust. So it was a good decision, I think. Had fun. Obviously the fitness is not where it needs to be. I obviously have to pick my game up now to stay with the youngsters, but good start to the year. Lekoa it's a tough place. You work for your win. There's very little place where you can sit back and relax. It's bumpy, there's rocks, you've got to pay attention the whole time. So it's a thinking race. So go fast where you can, go slow where you need to. Get the bike to the end. That's the name of the game. So we got through the day without breaking anything, without a puncture. So good day in the saddle. Yeah, again, thanks to the guys that keep us out here. I gave those CST tyres a proper workout today. I got back with all 4 tyres still with air inside them, so fantastic. Again, dirt nurse tomorrow. They've got lots of mud to wash off. Thank you to them, and we'll be back for the next one.
Carly, so nice to see you back. Please introduce us.
So this is baby Liam Simon. He's 2 months old, and this is his first race.
Is this now the future of the sport?
Let's hope so, but he can do whatever he wants as long as we can start or keep on racing. So it's been around 3 years. Feels like I've been pregnant for 3 years. Other one is 18 months old. Brings me back is the love of the sport, the culture, the people, the adrenaline, and I couldn't wait anymore. So this race was like timed at 2 months, and I'm excited to be back.
And start out with a win, that's got to be something fun, eh?
It was hard getting a win. It's good competition out there. Loving the ladies class currently. We're missing some old people that was there. But took the win, rode hard, and had to dig deep for my first race, but it's only going to go better from there. Look, I didn't start off as a winner. I started off in the WOW class. So best thing I can say is if you love riding your quad, and if you want to do it in a safe environment, controlled environment with great people, come test yourself, come test your bike, and come join us, because we're not only racing against each other, we're doing it for the culture and the family, and it's like a drug. You get addicted super quickly, but it's not as hard as you think it is in the sense of competition in that sense. But I mean, we all do it for fun. There's no expectations any race, and we just do it to be here, get out, get with the families. I mean, look at this. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to be back for the year with no injuries and no bike problems. I'll be here until the day I can't walk anymore. But yeah, if all the ladies out there, if they can join us, we're trying to grow the sport. We try to teach each other things. We try to motivate each other. So I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome being back, and I'm hooked already, so I'm not going anywhere.
Wonderful words from our winners and our ambassadors of the sport. Q1s, Brian Herbst, first big win in the Q1s. Congrats from all of us. Franco Pretorius, he's going to come after him pretty soon though. Hannah Simon, Tinus Kutzer and Rion Dick, the champions of the Q2 gate, will be banging bars with Pretorius and Buitenbach chasing them down hard. Quadmasters shows Branken is back on the money, and Philip Boyce, second place for him ahead of Moyle and Bierman. So old blood and new blood coming into the Quadmasters category. For the veterans, similar situation where we see Swayze Blicknor taking his first big win, and one of the first big wins we've seen on that category for the 4x4 Can-Am, ahead of Francois Berger and Smallberger. Back on the money. Gnarly Carly, welcome back, and a great ambassador for the quad racing and women's racing side of things. Corinne Thiessen though wants her win. She beat out this time Brits and Barnard. That was Lekoa Lodge for the morning session for the quads and the juniors. Good numbers on the page, great racing in a fantastic facility, giving us one of the best starts of the season we have ever seen. 2023 has only just begun for the GXCCs. Watch out for next week though, as we get ourselves ready to go forward into the senior motorcycle category that raced in the afternoon. And the juniors and quads will prepare for round number 2. All of this GXCC racing action was proudly brought to you by VW Mastercars Hatfield. So that's quads and juniors. Obviously, we now get ourselves ready. We go straight into the next show. So next week, Monday, it's going to be all about the senior motorcycles, where we saw a couple of probably results that you could have predicted, but a couple of results and different changes and different flavors. Love to see the manufacturers jumping around as well. It's been an incredible story. I think one of the backstories of 2023 is going to be the fact that the Japanese bikes have finally caught up with the might of KTM and Husqvarna, and now we're going to have some serious battles for manufacturer titles as well as rider championships as well. A lot of different flavors. It's going to be fun to see what goes down. So this was the first show of 2 coming out of GXCCs at Lekoa Lodge. Stay tuned, guys. It's going to be a pinner of a February. Catch you later.